Okay, we're all ready. We have things ready, I think. We are ready to go. I can't, if anything's going wrong and we are on the air already, which we are right now on YouTube, we will be starting the program at exactly in 20 seconds. And it'll take me a minute to see that everything's running okay. But we'll see that everything's working. As we're trying something brand new here tonight. We'll see how it works. And we should be going on the air right now. If everything, it says this video will start soon. I hope that you're joining us here at 7 o'clock. Excuse me, I need a silence button for coughing. It just came up and said the show will begin. So I hope it will. Aha, good to see you too. And I'm going to join this program here. The live video should start in a second. I hope it is. If not, we certainly can do something about that. I don't know what we'll do about it, but we'll do something about it. Okay. I'm just waiting to see here. If I'm on with people, I'm sorry that we're not. We are ready. We should be streaming. I hope we're streaming. It says I have 7 viewers. Okay, I'm on. Thank you. This is awful. I'm looking at my phone watching Facebook because my laptop has the camera hooked up to it and all the stuff that we use here to get on. So I'm just going to kind of go ahead with it. And by the way, I can see your comments here, and if anybody wants to make a comment, please go ahead. I actually, in my system that I have, and I hope I can get this to work for next week, it has a system where the comments that you make on Facebook will actually come across the screen below me here for everyone to see. So I hope that's the case. But like I said, right now I can see what you're typing, and it'll be great. And everything will work out great here. And thank you, first of all, Larry Temple, for tuning in and watching. And also, Bob and Becky Turner, it says is there. And also Bob Orth. And listen, I have to tell you about Bob Orth. Bob, you have been so sincere about this. And I came on at Halloween and wanted to come on and do these shows, you know, every Wednesday. And then everything for what I'm doing here in Atlanta just blew up video-wise. And I've been out of town. I've been doing videos other places. The Corvette place I do videos for, we just started doing a more real type show there. So it's all good news, except when it gets me home at late. It's like tonight I left a little bit early. I left at about 3:30 and I got home at exactly 6 o'clock. It's just, I never have trouble in Atlanta traffic except during those hours, and you can just get messed up in traffic completely. Now, something, before we get into our video tonight, this is the Hoosiers Night. I'm not going to talk very long, but let me tell you, last year when I did these shows, one of the things that made me feel so bad was that I don't even remember who did it. It's not a problem, but no one that's on here tonight or joins us anymore, but said, why don't you just shut up and show us the videos? And I guess I could do that, and I am going to do that tonight, but I kind of like talking about Union City history too, and I like the comments that you all can make and share things. But listen, tonight's Hoosier program that we want to show, and I'm going to start this just very shortly, came to mind to do this because Hoosiers was released on November 14th through the 18th around the country in 1986. There. We should be back up. I hope, if you went off, I don't know, we're here. Go to Facebook here. I'm back up there too. Okay. Sorry if I've been running around and we really were still on the air. Things seem to freeze up for me. Anyway, not going to spend a lot of time with other things except how great. And I know the people who are watching here tonight will remember the two things I'm going to tell you before we start the show. And that is that how much fun it was between Halloween and Christmas in Union City. There were so many events going on, and one of those pertaining to basketball was the week before Thanksgiving. And if you remember that, think about it, right, that week before Thanksgiving is when the basketball season started. It starts really early now, but it was always that Tuesday, the very Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Does anybody watching remember what game was always played on Tuesday evening? And I think we played a game at our gym and we played a game at their gym later in the year, but usually it was at our gym on the first Tuesday. Does anybody remember by chance? It was Massanutten Valley. That Tuesday night before Thanksgiving, we played Massanutten Valley, and then we came back to school on Wednesday to celebrate the victory or lick the wounds, and then we left on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving break. So it was always great to start that basketball season. But anyway, Hoosiers, Union City Community High School participated in that, and this week, I called Ted Leahy to talk to Ted in the last week because several people had been posting on Facebook that this was the 30th anniversary of the release of Hoosiers. And this is 2018, but it was already the middle of October when people were posting that, early in November. And I knew that couldn't be right because my father passed away October the 11th, 1988, October 11th, 1988, and he got to see Hoosiers before he died. He went to Richmond to see it the very day it came out at the movie there. So he was excited about that. So I knew it had to be earlier than that, so I talked to Ted. And of course, looking up on Google, it says that the movie was released November 14th through the 18th in theaters across the country in 1986. So this video that we're going to show you tonight, I can tell you exactly the evening it was presented at KISS TV. We shot that movie then in the fall of 1985. And our guys came back with the camera footage with KISS TV. Joey Michael headed up the whole thing, and they edited that together, and they had the program ready the Wednesday of the week prior to Thanksgiving. So, and I know that because I cut off a little bit of the front of this film that you're going to see, and it had John Schmidt on Cable Chatter. They were getting ready to do this show on Hoosiers, and he holds up our drawing box because KISS TV used to give away a turkey for Thanksgiving, and you would sign up at the at the basketball game, and we would award it. Well, I mean, we would award it at the basketball game that night. So you could sign up at the grocery store at Wright's at that time, and you could sign up, and then you'd win a turkey, of course, that was donated by them at the ball game that next Tuesday night. And on the show, he talks about the last few days to sign up for the turkey. So this was the Wednesday, 1 week before Thanksgiving in 1985 when this show was showing. And then Hoosiers was released November 14th through the 18th, 1986. Now, I really had a problem on my hands back then because at that time, not only was I working at the school with KISS TV, but I had a little movie rental store downtown. And our principal, Tom Goldsberry, you know, he was a man, he was a good guy. Rest his soul, Tom Goldsberry was just a super principal. But Tom was very much in, when he wanted something, he wanted it now. He wanted it now. And everybody was so excited, including me, to get our hands on those VHS. That's how all the movies were released then, that was coming out to the movie rental stores. And right when it was time for it to be released then, later on the next year in 1987, there was a big to-do about the rights and the fees and all of that for the videotapes that would be released to movie stores. So it was delayed and delayed and delayed. And I don't know, Tom Goldsberry ordered, our principal ordered several copies. And I mean, not only would he's right down the hallway from me at school, so there was no problem in saying, hey, when's that going to be released? Or they've already advertised, when's it going to be? He would also, after school, come up and see me at the movie store to make sure that it hadn't come in that day. So we finally got them, and it was a lot of fun. And Jamie Stocksdale says, yay, go Blackhawks. Okay, but those were fun days. Now, Jamie's probably too young to remember that. When we played, UC and MV played the game on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving break. Those were fun years. And we also had the big cheer blocks. Do you remember that? Some of you, I know, Bob, Becky Turner, anybody, you guys watching, remember that when we had a girls' cheer block that filled up almost the entire middle section of the bleachers on the, what would be the north side of the gymnasium at Union City Community High School. I mean, the girls filled up, and they all had on their little Indian outfits. Anyway, that gets us away from Hoosiers, but that's the fun of talking about history. I know, and we can join in, and again, I can watch who's here. Hello, Barb Landis Gentry, and Crystal Dodd is here. So anyway, we're just having fun talking a little bit about that week before Thanksgiving. You know, that Tuesday when Union City and MV always played basketball, and that was kind of the kickoff start to the basketball season back then. And that's why we're going to show the Hoosiers program tonight. And I'm going to switch away from my little monitoring here to my actual switcher here so that I can come back on. And I think without further ado, we will just go to the Hoosiers thing. By the way, Bob Orth and a few others, if you signed up for the Union City History newsletter that goes along with this show on Union City History videos, I've got your emails. You will be getting it. We've got one coming out this weekend, and you'll be getting your first one via email. And not only are we going to have some things about Union City history in every newsletter, but I want, in the newsletter, we'll explain it. I'm also going to teach it on video, and I'm doing some classes here in Atlanta on it for adults, for people my age. We need to be recording our history. And I know that people don't always like to put the camera up in front of them and go on live Facebook, but it is so easy to set up your very own. Here you go, Barb and Crystal and Bob, Becky. It is so easy to set up your own YouTube channel that's just yours. You know, everybody's not going to see what you do unless they know you've got this channel. But what a great place to put up your phone once in a while and record little things about your history when you think about it. I know back there in 1988, before my dad died, couple months before that, I talked him into getting a little notebook, and when he thought about these things that happened back in, he was born in 1912 in Union City, was always active and around Union City, and he had these great stories about it. I said, jot those down. Well, now, why not take your smartphone? You can have YouTube right on your smartphone. You can have YouTube Live, where all you have to do is get a $3 tripod, put your YouTube up there, and hit live or record, and you can record your thoughts. Can you imagine what that will be like for someday for grandchildren, great-grandchildren, people in your circles who have always heard of you or us and they never got to see us? What a fantastic, I would love to go back and see my great-grandparents talk about things. I just love to see them and hear them talk. That would be wonderful. So that's another way to preserve history, and we're going to learn how to do that if anybody wants to. And trust me, I don't care if you're 30, 40, 65, 75, if you're 80 years old, we can easily teach you how to sign up for a YouTube channel, have your own history for your family, and for all the others who want to live the history that we all lived. So anyway, enough of that. 1986, November 14th through the 18th, Hoosiers was released in theaters across the country. Union City students went down. This is the entire show. I do have these for sale as well on Shopify on Union City History's video, and I've held off for doing that because Facebook's going to make it easier than ever to shop on our channel here within the next week. So here's that entire program. I hope you enjoy it. I will repost it without my talking on the front because I know you don't all like that, but I just enjoy Union City history. I wish we were here connected so that we could all just talk about the things all the time. Let me go back here real quick. I just want to make real quick. There's Jim Himes. See, there you go. Jim says, let's see some history. Nobody wants to hear me talk about history, but you know what? Hey, it's my channel, so let's have fun with it. Okay, here we go. Back to the week before Thanksgiving in 1996. I think you'll recognize these guys. John Schmidt, 30-some years younger. Ted Leahy, 30-some years younger. And Joe Michael. Joey Michael, he was the student in charge of taping the things and putting it all together. And this night, again, I never get seen. Maybe that's why I always want to be on here talking about things, because back then I never got to be seen. I was in the control room. Have a great evening. Here is the show about our students being in the movie Hoosiers. I hope you enjoy it.
Very instrumental and made sure. And he hasn't gotten over it yet. Right? Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Before we go into the tape, because Joe did a lot of work and Rick did a lot of work on the taping last week, we would like to introduce Ted Leahy and Joe Michael. Of course, Joe's double role. He's the star here, but he's also the producer of this program tonight. But how in the world did it happen that out of the clear blue sky, the Union City Community High School students went to Knightstown to be in Hoosiers?
Well, at this point it seems like out of the clear blue sky, but it was really interesting, John, because I received a telephone call, and you know, a lot of times at school, when you're busy with 4 or 5 other things, and I was working on the play, and we were trying to get a district workshop set up for student council, and I had another project. I don't remember now what that was. It's immaterial, but I got a telephone call, and Jane said, I think this is really pretty important that you return the call. And I said, okay, fine, who is it? She said, well, it's Debbie, and she said she's from Hoosiers Casting. Do you want to call? So, of course, I pushed everybody out of the way and ran to the phone. Anyway, when I called her, she said that she wanted to involve as many of our students in the crowd scenes for Hoosiers, you know, as many kids as possible. So I asked her, you know, what does that mean? Are you talking about 30 kids, 20 kids, 60 kids? And she said, well, anything along that line that you can come up with, we would appreciate. So I said, okay, fine, I'd need to talk with the principal. So I talked to Mr. Goldsberry, and as I was talking with him, we were trying to figure out a way that it would be fair to take, you know, a group of students down. So we tossed around the idea of maybe the juniors, speech classes. That would be logical, because they work with dramatics and introduction to that, and plays and productions. And so then we talked about, well, maybe as an extracurricular group, maybe we would take the kids that were involved in the playcast. Thought that might be a way of identifying a group of kids. Well, then we talked about maybe it's just being one class, juniors or seniors or something of that nature. Or maybe student council, or maybe an outside group. Well, we decided really none of those would be fair, you know, because once the kids found out that we were taking one group, the others would wonder why they weren't chosen and so on. So he said, well, what do you suppose if we take the whole school? And I said, okay, it's fine with me.
Picking yourself up off the floor.
I said, okay, let me give him a call and let's see what kind of response we get. So I called back and talked to Debbie Shively, who is the assistant extra casting director. That's her title. And she's not an extra director. I mean, extra casting is the type of position that we filled. So anyway, I called her, and she said, oh, wow, that'd be wonderful if we could do that, if it would ever work. So I went back and told him that it sounded it sounded very positive. So he talked with Mr. Huddleston, talked with the individual board members to get clearance for making this a school project, which was fine. Everybody said that sounded like a good idea. So he said, well, you call him back and see what dates and times, and so we coordinated on that. Well, as we left school that evening, that was about, I don't know, 4 o'clock, something like that. Later on in the evening, Mr. Goldsberry gave me a call, and he had then talked with Larry Applegate, and our problem was, how are we going to get them there? And we had talked about that a little bit, but I didn't know exactly how that was going to be worked out. At this point, then, he decided that it was something that we couldn't do. Now, I've got a big mouth, right? But I kept it shut, and I was very secretive about the whole affair for almost, I think Mr. Goldsberry and I worked on this for almost 5 or 6 days before we ever told anybody of what was going on. And so anyway, when he called me, I said, well, okay, that's fine. I understand that. That's reasonable. And I know he knew I was sitting there in the chair crying. But anyway, so I made a couple contacts to see if anybody would be willing to help us out. I just explained our plight, that we had this wonderful opportunity, but it was too bad we couldn't go because there wasn't any way to get there. So I got just the response I was hoping for. They said, well, what if transportation were provided? And I said, well, now, that's another story. So
the word can't is not in your vocabulary.
That's right. Well, at least it is, but I don't use it very often. So anyway, it did work out very well, because we did have some individuals who were willing to pay for the cost of the buses, and I know that by this time probably everyone is aware, but it cost $1,800 to take 7 chartered buses full of kids down to Knightstown. So I got a hold of Mr. Goldsberry the next morning, and he said, well, so then he sent it back through channels again, that with transportation, was it still okay, were we going to do it? Because we wanted to be sure everything was firm before I contacted the casting department at Hoosiers to make that firm, and it was. So once we got it all settled in, I called them back. They were delighted. Then Mr. Goldsberry ironed out the details of taking care of sack lunches and contacting the cafeteria. And once that all happened, then we began to get really great publicity from Richmond and Muncie and our local paper, and have been really delighted by the whole experience.
And what we'd like to do, we're going to use Joe in here, and we'll all three talk about some of the things that are going on. That's how it started out. That's how it was organized. And if Dan can roll it in there, and we'll talk over this at the beginning, 6:30 in the morning. We have a little blurb there. This is what it looked like. Now, this is
at
before.
6.
This is at 6 o'clock. And the gang's ready, including Mr. Black. And this is a new Mr. Black, by the way. And there, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's not too much sunlight to get very good pictures. But there you have the 7 chartered buses. And
yeah, I might want to comment, and I think Joe said something about this too. It was really neat, not only for the kids that were driving up, but for the parents too, because it was like, here were all these buses, and they were all lighted up in the parking lot. You remember your comment on that?
When I come up over the hill, it was about 10 till 6, and I said, there wasn't any lights on or anything. And just when I come up over the hill, it was just like the whole parking lot was lit up, and I seen the shiny buses, and they were all, the noise that they were making, they were all lined up, and it just looked so great. It was unreal. It just gave you an overwhelming feeling.
It really did, because we take it for granted. After all these times in chartered buses over the years, I would imagine, 80% of our kids had never ridden in a chartered bus.
I think that's probably true.
Here we see us getting out, and by the way, the pictures are fantastic out of the new Porta-Pack cameras and so forth. These are our kids. They empty them 1.5 buses at a time. Now, I didn't realize this.
Right, what they were doing.
Because we were first, and so I didn't realize it.
What they were doing was they had 2 rooms, and once the students arrived, they put all of us together in a room, and a person came in from wardrobe, checked everybody out in terms of their clothes, and if they needed anything in terms of a change of a shirt or sweater, very, very few changes were made in our kids once they arrived there. After they checked out their clothing, then the next thing they did was, well, who's this famous person?
Who is that person?
Well, anyway, and then after they checked out their clothing, then a gal came in from hair and makeup, checked out the hair, and
which was a surprise to a lot of them, right?
Then we started our line upstairs getting hair cut, Or
And we'll
really,
show
a lot of the kids, though, if you'll notice, just as they're going in, many of the kids had already gotten their hair cut.
Right. Some of them had decided that they were going to, but they just let they thought it would be neat, I think, to have the people in makeup do their hair to cut it. And so some of them went with that idea. But if you look at this, it looks like really we're talking about a group out of, you know, the early 50s,
With
right?
the exception of the jackets that they have on, you know, the outfits
Look
were
at
really
the
great.
outfits,
In fact,
right?
that was one of the things they commented on. You know, they were really thrilled that there was so little they had to do.
Because it could have been a headache. They had wardrobe for all the people
They
there.
really could have taken care of all of us. Now we're looking inside one of these classrooms,
Yeah,
and
this is our room
one
of-
of our waiting areas.
An old classroom, and it hasn't been used, and you can tell that. This is when we then moved. This is in wardrobe. In the old hall, they set up wardrobe, and the people would go in there, and they also had a truck out in the outside with wardrobe that they would bring in also when needed.
Now this is the gal right now who's checking for wardrobe, and she's going around looking at the various students, and she'll say, well, this is good, that's bad, or you need a sweater, you need a shirt, and she'd tell them to get in line. And the way they kept track of all this I thought was pretty amazing too, because they gave each student a ticket, and the adults too. As we entered, everyone received a ticket. As we later found out, those were for drawings. But if you had to get a particular piece of clothing from wardrobe, or they changed something, then they took the half of your stub and used that as a means of
Okay, identification. What we'd like to do is have Dan bring up the sound, and here's some of our instructions.
The list goes on and on and on. There's about 40 or 50 personnel down that they need to coordinate. So when they're yelling quiet, it's because they need to think and they need to communicate with all these people. I say there might be 30 or 40 of them, and there's going to be 800 or 900 of you. And the ratio isn't very good. So what we ask is when you're in there, if you really feel compelled to talk, just do it in whisper. Okay? So if you can imagine an undertone or even a voice like this, with 800 or 900 people is just tremendously loud. Okay? So if you really feel compelled to talk on the set, and by nature, we like to communicate, you know, even if it's nothing, we like to communicate. So please talk in whisper. And when the director or the assistant director or whoever yells quiet, please, we ask that you go right down to nothing. No talk and no moving. If you can hold your breath, that's great too. But really, it's a necessity. And in the long run, in the end, you all benefit because then you get more breaks, then you get more water, and that type of thing. However, and we do too, because then we finish up earlier. However, if they have to keep resetting the shot, keep re-communicating, talking with people over and over, it just makes the process all the much longer. So it is kind of important that we try to keep the noise level way, way down on the set. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions about what we're going to see today or what's going to happen? You all know we're stepping back into the 50s. Okay, so the guys are going to get hair like that. And the girls are going to get boxed. Is that the word? Boxed. And parade back and all that kind of stuff. But you know, don't be disheartened by the whole thing because there's literally thousands and thousands of people that are going through this process to be a part of the movie. And it is Indiana's movie. It's about Hoosier hysteria. It's about Hoosier basketball. And that doesn't happen anywhere else in the country, as far as I know, anywhere else in the world. So you're very important, very vital to the movie. We want to thank you for your time, and please bear with us in the
that finishes out that.
Okay, now, yeah, make sure. Here we are taking a shot from the window, looking into the dressing rooms, portable dressing rooms.
Two of them shows that.
Yes, and here it is, right? And I think we've got our sound up. I don't know. We're not picking it up here for some reason. Dan?
In some portions there isn't sound.
No, but I mean us, because I thought we should be able to pick us up. But here's wardrobe, or here's some of the hair. I don't know how he did this at all, but right, if you look here, they talked him into having the hair pretty long and back, didn't he? For some way, Steve got him talked into this, and
some of them did, and some of them didn't. It just depended on which barber they got, and I asked about that because, you know, some of the kids' hair they really cut short.
Oh, well, now some of them you had a choice. Now, when I went in, said, "Do you want it cut more or do you want it slicked back?" And I said, "Give me the goop," and not realizing that no hair at all up here, anyhow. And when they put the goop on, speaking of goop, there's Rick. And he thought he had his cut short enough, and then all of a sudden, boom, it wasn't short enough. But here, there it is. It's just a goop stuff, and it reminded me of the old Butchwax. Many, many years ago, the Butchwax.
Okay, now we're on the floor inside of the gymnasium. After everybody went through costume and makeup, they waited they had us wait in the tents, and while they were in the tents, they taught them the school song for Hickory High, and they also taught them some cheers. And once everybody had been processed, then they'd move them over a group at a time into the gym, and this is the old gymnasium at Knightstown. They'd move them in, and as you see, they placed them carefully, and this is a section that's right directly behind the bench where Gene Hackman and the players will be sitting. And I think now we're on the opposite side of the floor looking across there, aren't we?
Yes, what happened is we gave the camera then to Mike Heitman, and Mike is now, right, if this is the point, yes, Mike is now.
And you can see, now you can see the players on the bench who are playing the team for Hickory.
Which one was it who hurt his leg?
He's not on the screen at this time.
This is Mike, we have to mention, Mike Heitman doing this wonderful camera work.
Someone was tickling him, no doubt. And of course you recognize Gene Hackman. And you know what was fun, and Joe commented on this, and I thought that was a really nice feature, not just for us, one of our students who was there, but for all of us. We were within arm's reach of all these people, and they talked to us like they were talking to one another.
Right, it was just very nice, and I never saw them once, you know, say that, well, I can't give can't give you a signature or an autograph or anything.
You notice how quiet the tape is, and that's intentional because we were all being extremely quiet because this is for sound take only. And in a minute you watch and the people in the background will become animated, but you'll hear no sound.
And this is our acting debut. This is where we really work out, didn't we?
And then they bring the sound up.
Yeah.
But it was really good because it kept you right on cue, kept the volume down, and then they made you come live as they wanted it recorded.
Right.
Here's an angry fan there.
And you know what's funny? And then, okay, that's enough, and we sat down, and that was it, and quiet. I mean, our group was really fantastic. There's just no doubt about it.
And of course, you know, you're making that comment, and we were really proud of our kids, but they were making the same kinds of comments.
And they were amazed, I think, more so
than
we expected out of our kids many times.
I went back on Saturday, and when I met with Steve, who we haven't seen yet, and also with the director Dave Anspaugh, who is the director for the movie, he said your kids were fantastic. In fact, they got more film shot in the day that we were there than they have any other day that they've worked on film. And they were really thrilled to death with it.
And we thought all this day for about, what, 15 minutes or 30 minutes?
30 minutes of film that they had, but that obviously will not be the amount that will be used in the film. But it was 30 minutes worth of film accomplished in 8 hours, 8.5 hours.
But it was great to see the lighting, but not only the lighting, but here again, they told certain people to stand up. They told us, you know, you do this or you say that or you go back through the whole thing.
This gentleman with the gray hair sitting next to Gene Hackman is his agent. And this is Dave Anspaugh, who is the director, and he's from Decatur, Indiana, so he understands basketball fever.
There's the motley crew there.
In case you don't recognize, that's Ricky and John and Greg and Rick Root and our friend Gene.
And we should, again, recognize Joe, because Joe took the camera and ran all over, and there was no place Joe didn't go with the camera.
Right, and it'll be fun pretty soon, too, because when we get further on into the tape, because he got an excellent interview with him. There are going to be two. There's one where Joe was filming and I was talking with the director, but then later on And this is Harvey. Harvey and Herbie are the two assistant directors as far as the technical aspects of the play are concerned. This man is in charge of lighting.
Well, the one on the right is the head cameraman,
Right.
and that's Fred. And I was impressed with Fred.
I said lighting,
Yes.
I meant camera.
This guy, I was so impressed with because I always try to pick out one person I'm going to watch. Well, because of his Hollywood clothes and his mannerisms, and he was sharp. There's just no doubt, and it was kind of funny because there were times when he was telling the director.
Right, who did he remind you of?
Oh, I had
Oh, no,
somebody,
I've seen
but
the
you're
whole
right.
time, but did he remind you of everybody on TV? Columbo. Did you watch him? He has that same
he
kind
has
of walk, that
yes,
swagger
that
walk,
kind of
kind
thing,
of
but-
look, you know, out from under. It was really
Boy, and he was telling the director sometimes, no, I want this, and he would be asking him what shot. Now, the one that really got me is the guy who was the choreographer of the basketball. And
the
the
red
guy in the
sweater.
red sweater. The thing that got me about it is when he shot a basketball, he's not a basketball player. You can tell. But he was the one who's setting them all up. He is the one who was saying, now you do this, you cut here. He knew his business. But when he shot the basketball, when he dribbled the basketball, he was not a
there
basketball
he is
player.
right there. He's now talking.
Which, the camera work is just unreal. And of course, the new camera, and I don't think we were able to get this. Here's the same shot again.
You have a picture of the Steadicam.
Did we get one? Because I haven't, this is the first time I've had an opportunity
Well,
of seeing
Joe
this.
and I have seen this.
Yeah,
We're
some
way
of
ahead
it.
of it.
Now see, this is not, see what he did? Hey, Dan, do you have that number 3? Take it back, please. Now watch what he did here. This is a rehearsal. And this is, we could not tape when they were filming it. But we could the rehearsal. No, take it, just put it back and just go into pause and scan back. That'll be fine. Because I want you to see what they were doing. They did this thing, what? 9, 10, 12 times. And here's the one time. Now watch here when he comes to see.
They throw him a little box.
They give him a box. See, they have to stand up. It's behind camera, but they're like, you know, here, instead of giving him the jacket or the towel, they give him this box, and he just goes right along with it. Now here we come up. Now watch
He's
when he
saying
gets
his
past
lines.
Gene Hackman, sets down.
And past the camera.
Notice how it's real quiet in
Yeah,
there.
tells him, sit down. Now what? Here he comes. Now he's out of camera. Look, he just picks it up, and it goes on. That had nothing to do with it at all.
You'll see I got a real good shot after a while where they're doing shooting some crowd scenes, getting some audio from the crowd scene, and where Gene Hackman and a few of his players are behind camera, and they're like, the fans are mad at him because he won't let this other guy come in, and he's back there saying like, come on, come on, come on, just trying to get the crowd fired up.
He really added to it, again, a quiet individual, I thought. You know, I mean, here he is. There were no airs about Gene Hackman at all.
And here you'll see some of our kids, this Lee and Carson. And every time there was a break in filming, not a break, but I mean when they would stop and reorganize or reestablish, they'd move off to the side, the kids would line up and get autographs like crazy. It went on all day.
And I really thought it was neat because, I mean, they weren't really, what do I want to call it? As far as they didn't really care too much, as far as 4 or 5 people come down out of the stands when you're not, getting shot.
Right.
You just come right down, go right up to him and say, Mr. Hackman, can I have your autograph and get a picture? He'd say, sure, he'd sign his autograph, he'd grab a hold of you and hug you and stuff. And, it's such a friendly atmosphere. So,
And these chairs, that was another thing that I thought was a lot of fun too. The chair that you just saw, it keeps shifting. It keeps shifting from one side of the floor to the next. They'd reset the chairs, and then they'd move the cameras to the other side, and the entertainers or the actors were moved to the other side.
Here they go. We'll say we got the door open. There we go with the same scene again.
Well, when you mentioned that, John, see, I went back on Saturday. I don't think we mentioned the fact they were so impressed with our kids that they wanted to send buses up for any number of our kids that would return. Now, we had one bus, so there was a foul up on their buses, and 2 arrived here at 8:15 after we had already taken off with the first bus that was here at 7. And we could have taken some more, but mechanically it didn't work out. But they were so impressed with their cooperation, their quietness, and all that sort of thing, that they would have liked to have had all of us. And on Saturday, they ran through many of these scenes in the same way. In fact, in some instances, just like that last one you mentioned 8, 9 times, there was one scene I kept track because I was writing down a remark every time they did it. When I got done, counted it up, we had done it 17 times.
Is that right? Now, how big of a crowd did they have?
Oh, Saturday was entirely different.
What are they're putting on perspiration?
Yeah, right. They're adding perspiration, and that's a mixture of glycerin, baby oil, and water, so that it sets up on the surface of the skin.
Not just
spreads
water.
them down.
Right. They had people, and that's basically all they did all day.
That was their job. That's right.
Well, they're part of makeup, because they
But
did
that
work
was
with
their
some of it,
job.
but that was the job there. Then things went crazy, right?
Right. Now this is on Hickory High's side.
And
And that's kind of hard to do, isn't it, Joe? I mean,
some of them would mess up.
ever so often, but it's really interesting because they'll blend all this together in the film, and when we see it, we'll never know the difference of whether the crowd was clapping or if it was, mixed or it was us pantomiming.
It was like the first take, Joe. Remember that one when they said, okay, now you'll mime it, and then when I go like this, then start in. Well, everybody's miming, and I happen to be watching Harvey. And Harvey goes like this, and I said, what are you doing? And I was the only one, and I went,
What am I doing?
Roving reporter. Janet Fuller.
Janet Fuller did a great job. The articles that
take.
she has done are just fantastic, and she ought to get credit. She went with us the whole day, and of course now she's moving to Hollywood, I think. I think the bug
In
got
fact,
her.
I think they haven't seen her at the papers for the last...
The sound system is unreal. When you talk about it, the recorder itself looks like one of our old Wallensack. Yeah, and but it is, and
It is a Wallensack.
it is a Wallensack, but it's again 2 tracks, and they can put the different tracks or multiple track. I should say they were only using 2 tracks that day.
But I was intrigued by that too, because I was sitting when they were working your side, the sound was all on our side, and I leaned over because my reaction was the same. I thought that looks like a Wallensack, and it was.
It was, yeah. A little bit better than what we have here at Coop.
Definitely.
There's some of our people again during a break, and in the action there, some of the kids were able to, during some of these breaks, some of the kids played cards. Mr. Black had his Trivial Pursuit. There it is. Explain this to him, Ted. This is
Okay,
great.
this is a Steadicam. You see this harness that the guy is wearing, and if you look at it, it looks like arms of a robot, in a factory. And those are all operate on an air shock system. And what happens is he can run down the floor with that, and that equalizes his movement so that as he goes down the floor, it's perfectly steady. And they explained to us that until this camera was invented, and it's really new within the last year, I think. Isn't that right, Joe? Do you remember?
They used it for the first time in Rocky III.
Right. They had to use roller skates. And in fact, part of Rocky III, until this camera, they finished this camera, that's right, during Rocky III, part of Rocky III they did on roller skates when they were trying to get around on all different sides of the action. And so with this thing, he can just run and move all the way around, and this camera just floats in position, and he just aims it up or down or off to the side. Weighs 70 pounds.
And what was neat is now all this equipment, and you've seen all this equipment, they took everything out during our lunch break. Everything was out, and then after we came back from lunch, they used that one camera to show the team coming out. Now, they've done all this now for the game. So, in other words, after we've gone through the ending of the game and everything else, they come out and do the beginning of the game with this one camera. And it was just an unbelievable way that they did this to get the whole gym so that they could take 360 degrees, and it did not look like there was anything other than the gym and the crowd.
You might explain what you were getting on the camera then, Joe, when you were skimming the rafters and so on.
Well, I was just, when I come in here, I can't believe this gym. I've never seen anything like it. And as you've seen, the wooden rafters, it was just incredible. And the oldness of this gym was unreal, and I just want to get a shot of it to make sure it really did happen.
And I haven't, and they put in all new lighting and everything. And you know what's really, I guess they're having trouble with Joe's. These microphones that we got to get all new batteries, I guess. But what was really interesting too, we haven't seen the head electrician, the lighting man, the one with the knee brace.
He's walked around a couple times.
Yeah, he is half Hawaiian and half Chinese, and the lady who was there before, or in front of us, was there the day before. And one of those lights up in the rafters had started a fire, small fire. And he just jerked that. It had the Velcro thing, and he just jerked that off, grabbed from someplace a fire extinguisher, and climbed up the wall and across there and put it out the day before. It was just unreal how he reacted so quickly. But boy, those guys know their lights.
I was so amazed on, you know, like when the director said, he said he wanted to see the set clear and everything off, and how there was hundreds, you know, as you can see right there, hundreds of pieces of equipment, people walking all around and everything. And I mean, those people had a specific job. They got right on it and cleared it off. And then, I mean, it's just like there's so much chaos behind camera. And then when he says do something, they all get it together and put it all away or take it off the floor or something. It was just unreal.
I wanted to pose to you, and I didn't. You want to comment?
Okay, right here, as we were talking, see behind scenes, they're shooting clear across this court right here, up in this corner. That's the crowd scene they're doing. Now watch these guys in back. They start lifting their hands and stuff, like getting the crowd fired up. And
they're doing the same thing as we did earlier. Our reaction to Gene Hackman, the coach, not letting this other player. We should mention they only had they had only 6 players, and one of them fouled out. And there was one left, and he was going to go in when the other one fouled out. And he says no, because he hadn't played by the game plan.
Right.
Even though he'd scored a lot of points, he hadn't played by the game plan.
He wasn't doing what the coach said.
Those are my 4 people out there. So he just threw them up a little bit himself. Look at him.
Now this is Sheb Woolley, and he was playing the part of one of the assistant coaches for the game that we were there. And this is really neat. I'll cut out real quick. He's leading everybody back home again in Indiana.
It's unreal what has happened to, you know, these people who have actually gotten parts in the movie.
The interesting thing is by half of us being on one side of the floor and the other half on the other side.
Now, who's this guy?
Well, gee, I don't know.
This is lunch break.
Yeah, we were taking a break, and this is another little funny sequence. The next day when I went back, the crew said, well, where's the nurse? And I said, well, she didn't come back with me today. And they said, well, who's going to dance for us? Aren't you going to? I said, no. Well, anyway, behind me, the talk on Saturday was, they said, somebody had asked, well, is the nurse going to be here again today? And they commented and said, no. Now, she was from Hollywood, and they had just flown her in for that filming yesterday. So I didn't let them down. I just thought, hey, they can think she's our Hollywood nurse.
So now we've lost a nurse to Hollywood.
There's another funny comment about that, too, because when she went through costuming, the costume lady said, where did you get that outfit? And she said, well, it's mine. And she said, well, I didn't think we had anything like that. And she said, where did you ever find anything like that? And she said, that's the uniform I wore when I graduated from nurses training. And so Mrs. Wagner has kept that all this time and noticed how well it fits her. And so the gal in costume said that she'd like to have any of her other uniforms. I don't know that she had any left. I think she said she'd shortened all the others. But that was really kind of fun.
Because they said,
this was spontaneous.
Is there a possibility that we could use this? And she said, yes, as long as you wash it and have to
starch it
and iron it. And they didn't have any idea what they were talking about with starching and ironing.
Not like that.
You notice here, these two guys will never look like that again. Root and Black already had their beards coming back. And it really wasn't all of the people. By the way, some of our teachers were able to go back on Saturday too, along
Yes.
with you,
Yes.
which was a neat thing. There's Mr. Black. You'll never see him look like that again.
Mr. Clean Cut.
There's Coach Hall. Tell you, that guy looks 10 years younger.
Isn't that an unbelievable
unreal.
change? Of course, Mr. Henshaw with his pineapple looks kind of becoming. I was really fearful for the guy on the right. I
No,
thought
the
he'd
guy
have a
on the
heart
right's
attack.
name is Jeff, and he is a paid extra, and he is the band director for the Knightstown Pep Band, who plays for all of the scenes that were shot there in the gym.
You could see that I just grabbed the camera and I said, I'm going to have to get this on tape. I mean, I can't let this go by. And you'll see here in a little while, I did get an interview, a couple interviews with the director. Super guy. And, you know, it's just like me. The day was great and I loved it, loved every minute of it. But it somehow just didn't seem real because, you know, I was sitting here talking to this director of this movie, and we were just sitting there like we were chatting about basketball, sports, the fans in Indiana and everything like that, and where and how the movie was made and everything. And I sat there and talked to him for 5 minutes, and I'm saying, no, wait a minute, I'm just some punk high school kid with a camera walking up to him and started talking to him. You know, and this guy is Hollywood, and it just didn't seem real.
And he has done programs, right? I mean, he's directed...
He has directed Miami Vice. Here's the one you're talking about, Joe.
I just want to thank all the people at Knightstown that come out to support us. This is what's making the movie special. And I think that you're all going to be very, I hope you're all very proud of it. But on behalf of myself and Carter DeHaven and Angelo and everybody, we want to thank everybody that's come out. It's been a great deal to us. It's made me and all the producers ourselves very proud. Thanks.
Could have been because we were using the mic on the camera. We do have another interview coming up with our
Right,
mic.
and which is much better. And I think maybe you picked up, he mentioned that Carter DeHaven and he were both very proud of our group from school. Carter DeHaven is the producer for the show, and if we catch him, he's the gentleman with dark hair and hair.
Okay, I didn't realize who that was. And Dennis Hopper was not around any during the day, and then he came up late in the afternoon, and he really lucked out there. Some of us, they wanted to sign, we'll see, against the wall there, where Joe almost got, they did a concluding shot, a wrap shot, and there you see Hollywood of the acting and so forth. And we'll talk about that when maybe, I think they have a little bit of that right at the end, and we'll talk about that to close up, because, and here we did. So we came up with our own version of the wave. And this was, now you talk about spontaneous. Here it was, and we got both sides. This is starting it out, and there it goes. And it ended up, and this, I think they were going crazy saying, how can we settle these people down? Because this was completely spontaneous. I think it started up. I think Jim Price and some of them actually got the idea and said, hey, the wave, and they got it back, and it just continued to go and go until people started dropping off.
They did do some shots of that, too.
Oh, did they?
Uh-huh.
Here.
And if you could list the audio, you can tell he's checking. Okay, he's saying right there that we need to rehearse, and he says, how did they do that? And see, after taking these shots over there, it was just unreal, like the director and producers, and they were just looking at each other like, I don't believe these people, they're incredible. And I could hear them in the background, and just how fired up we were and about the whole thing, and they knew they had a good group of crowd.
They had problems, though. I know that Mr. Henshaw came up with a defense cheer that they didn't have in 51. They had to tell him about it. This is Harvey, by the way.
You mentioned a second ago, or asked me a while ago, and I don't think I finished answering you, John, because we commented on something that was on. What was the difference, maybe, or if there was a difference between Friday and Saturday shooting? And a definite difference is that the gym wasn't full, and so they would re-wardrobe and shift people from one side to the other and shoot a scene, and then they'd change clothes on them and reposition. and then take you to the other side and do filming over there. So you can, you know, just from what happened to us on Saturday while we were down there, it was obvious that, now this is Barbara Hershey, the director is talking to right now. It was obvious that we certainly did make life much easier for them, and that's why they were.
Because that had to be time-consuming that way, didn't it? Changing and everything.
Yes, it was. In fact, we didn't get to break for lunch until 2 o'clock.
Is that right? Notice here the referee is an Indiana State High School Athletic Association referee. They had all of them, and so they're extras, they're paid extras, and they had maybe a few lines or just like the one, you know, that was it. This is one of the ball players who's a star, right? And he is one of the stars in the. He came in and again, he wasn't playing. This is the first game, right? He was kicked off or something of this nature, and this is Dennis Hopper's son, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
No, this one isn't Dennis's son, but I can't, now I don't remember the connection, but he has been kicked off. Then Dennis's son is kicked off in the next game.
Oh, is it? Okay, because this is Barbara Hershey's a foxy looking young lady. That's enough.
She's definitely blessed.
Who is that, Joe?
That's Dan.
Oh, that's Dan.
Yes. I mean, I got some shots of that. You know, the guy was leaning against the wall, and you seen the photographer there that was taking pictures of him. Well, that photographer right there, he's from the British Islands or somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, is he from Australia? Is that right?
He works for the movie company, and he just goes around. It's just publicity-like, taking pictures of all different kinds of things. And I figured since he was sitting there, I bet he unloaded about 2 rolls of film on that one guy standing against the wall, so I figured I better get a shot or two.
I liked how the film he went through that day. I mean, when something would come up, it was just, you know, he got started on Fred, the cameraman, and just when they were doing that close-up thing. And I couldn't believe he went through a whole roll of film and then got the other camera, changed lenses and put it in. There he is, right in the middle. The blonde right there, right in the middle there with all the cameras.
He was carrying about 3 or 4.
Right, right. And then he came out with a medium format later. These are all 35 millimeter.
Now the game that you're looking at, or that's being filmed this day while we're there, is the Ulitic game. And they're doing, as I understood it, they're doing 4 games that are home games, and now they're in Logansport and they're doing away games. They've already done the sectional, they've filmed that in Brownsburg, and then they're going to the finals, the semifinals and the finals, and they're going to be filmed at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and that'll be on Saturday, December the 7th. They will be filming on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th from 6 o'clock until midnight. That's going to be their schedule because they can't get in to use the field house till then. But another thing I wanted to comment on, this is maybe a good time for us to mention it. I have been contacted by the casting office again, and they are interested in having as many people from Union City as they can get for December the 7th. And so that day will consist of 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening. It's going to be that amount of filming. But they said that they would be delighted to have anybody that we could come up with from Union City. So that means any families, any adults, parents, grandmothers, you know, anybody that would like to participate in this. So this is how we're going to handle this. I have to give them some idea in terms of numbers. So at the Mississinewa game, which will be on Tuesday, the, what is it, Joe, 28th?
26th, right.
Okay, on Tuesday the 26th. I'll be available with information about how to dress and with sign-up sheets and what we'll want you to do at that time. Anybody in the Union City, Indiana, Ohio community or surrounding areas that is interested, I'd like for you to be at that game and sign up so that I can give them an idea on number of how many people will be going. Then it'll be up to all of you to kind of coordinate, or those who want to go to coordinate their own transportation. Or an option might be if they want to go on a bus, we'll have to figure out a cost on a bus and make arrangements for that. But we want to get an initial sign up, and I'll try to give you ideas on costume and all that sort of thing. In fact, if you need ideas, check with your kids because they all know how to dress.
And something else along with that is that the whole family can go.
Right.
Mrs. Rissmiller took her 2 boys on Saturday, and here she has pictures. She's got them back from the school. Here are the kids going through makeup, getting their hair cut and everything else, and they're proud of the whole thing, and that's something they'll never forget. Just never forget.
I think we need to stress the fact, too, that, you know, as Mr. Leahy said, the whole community, not just students, you know, to be at this game, get information. If you want to go down there, it is great. Be prepared. You're going to have to sit a while, but I mean, it's just an experience that's beyond even imagining. I mean, you're seeing it on the tape, but seeing it on tape is not the same as going down there. It was so great and so educational just to see how they do it, you know, what goes on behind the scenes. It was just so incredible. So if you'd like to go, you know, as I say, contact Mr. Leahy at the game November 26th, and that'll be a Machinewall game next Tuesday. The whole family can go, anyone who wants to go. Who knows, maybe we can get travel arrangements, you know, fixed up.
One quick comment regarding that too. It will be this. They told me the same thing that they told me when we were working with our kids and getting it lined up. The people who are the most authentically dressed are going to be on like the first 10 rows all the way around Hinkle Fieldhouse. The rest of the people are just going to be put in the stands to fill up space. So the camera is going to be on the people who are dressed. And because all of that sectional has to be filmed on that Saturday, that's the only day they can use it. Or, I mean the finals. Anybody who's there and in that film will be in the film. You know, that's sort of a fun thing too, to know that you'll be a part of it.
And it's one of those things too that the more authentically you're dressed. Now we had to be all there, or you weren't in the gym, but we were so close. And the thing is the more authentic you are, the closer you'll be to the action, and the more likely you'll be to see yourself in the movie.
That's what I know. A lot of kids really thought when we were first saying, well, yeah, we'll be in the movies, but we'll go down there and we're going to shoot this game, and 10 other groups are going to shoot the same game, and they're going to pick the best one. Well, I asked the lady that came to our school, and she assured us that if you were there Friday morning during the shooting, that particular crowd would be in the game no matter what.
And another surprise too I thought was funny is that they thought they were going to see a basketball game.
Right.
And then cameras hidden someplace, and then just played the basketball game. That was one of the biggest responses.
The fun thing is, that was one reason why I was glad some of us went back on Saturday, because Saturday was a completely other game, and they were done with that. They were done with the other game, so we're definitely in it. There's no question about it.
Okay, now here they go in action. Well, you'll notice here they did so many different things. This was one of them that they're just filming him. Gene Hackman is all they're filming at this point. They got the two cameras, and they're going through the action, they're playing, and everything else, and they're getting his reactions and how he's reacting on the sideline. And all this will be edited and put together, and you'll never know it. You'll think it was one whole game played at one time.
One comment, too, I'd like to make, and Joe alluded to this. It was a long day, but it was a super day. I mean, we were there from 8 in the morning until 7:30 at night. But the thing is, they work this schedule 6 days a week. They are on the set, all of the people, the technical people, the director, producers, and so on, and they rehearse long before the crowd scene, or, you know, all of the extras arrive. And after we finished at 8 o'clock in the evening, then they went into action for another 2 hours, and they had to preview all the filming that was done for that day to see if anything had to be corrected, changed, edited, you know, added to for the next day.
And some of the reactions, I thought, too, people, well, Gene Hackman's got it made. They just happened to see a day when he only had a couple, 3 lines. They don't have all the other. See, these are just the gym shots. Now, they did things around the communities. They did things in school and buildings. I mean, there's a lot of, you just don't have a basketball game going on. This is one segment. And people saying, boy, I'm going to be an actor. All you do is sit around, sign autographs, and say just one line all day long. And it's not that way at all.
That's what I think. Just this being in the crowd and the gym scene was just incredible. But I'd really love to go in a classroom or at someone's home where they're really doing the acting and really have a lot of lines and show feelings.
If anybody ever gets, and this is what I told some of the kids, I said, when we go to Los Angeles, we do anything to get tickets to the TV shows or to the movies, or to the productions, because it is unreal to see that. And it's just so, and we even, one time I was always kidding, we saw them doing a commercial at a filling station. And they had all the boards up, the reflectors and everything else, and the guys had the Kleenex around their shirt collars so they wouldn't get perspiration and do that. And we turned around and went back and stayed there, I don't know how long, just to watch. And it is intriguing to see the movie industry itself.
One thing I was going to ask you, Joe, I'm just real curious, and I haven't asked you this yet. Having worked with the play, what parallels do you see between working with a movie and even just working with our little high school play?
Rehearsal. I mean, more or less, in a play, you just get up there and you have one chance at it. In a movie, it's different. You just go over and over and over until it looks good, and then you throw it all together and tape it all up, and you got a movie. Rehearsal, they rehearse just like we do, only we do a little bit longer. They do a couple practice rounds, and it's just more or less expected that the crowd knows when and when not to cheer, and so on.
You notice that guy back there in costume?
In the hat.
Yeah, But he's in beautiful 1951 costume. I say
Without
that,
even knowing it.
Haircut, you know?
Yeah, but it doesn't look new to him either. He is watching if he's still awake. He was aggravated because the show wasn't going on till 7:30. So I hope Mr. Goldsberry.
Sorry, Mr. Goldsberry.
You really aren't. You just said that.
I don't know whether you pointed out when Sheb Woolley started playing the Indiana song. Did you point out when they brought the audio board over?
Yeah, you were trying to work on the microphones, yes. So hopefully we'll be on the soundtrack singing.
Right. So that'd be neat. An opening or
Not very good, but it will be neat.
like me, I didn't know half the word of it.
But there again, you know, but Sheb Woolley, there again, some of the people here will maybe watch the Nashville. But
Really?
The shows that he used to be in, too.
do you? I don't know.
Rawhide?
With Rawhide and what was another one that he was in, but he's on the Nashville Network now.
Yeah.
And the Nashville Network was there doing interviews and taking shots, and the people who have that on Warner Cable now will watch that, and they're probably going to see this, and they'll see it the day we were there. So it would be neat if we knew when it was going to be on. But like Sheb Woolley, when they see him on the Nashville or Grand Ole Opry or whatever, you know, our kids are going to say, wow. They may watch the Grand Ole Opry when they wouldn't before.
One other thing. Joe, did you by any chance pick up in class, I think it was yesterday, that even after all of this, going down there, the movie,
Everything that we have done, did you notice the comment that one of the students in class made yesterday? She asked if this was a movie that was just going to be shown in Indiana.
Yeah.
You can't convince them. As you said, and I think Cindy got a big kick out of this when you said, it's a movie, kids, it's a movie. And it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
Our kids don't. And like I said, a chartered bus. Oh, my gosh, I hate buses. You know? I mean, we've taken them to New York and Washington and gotten, you know, to the point where our bodies almost died from the, you know, chartered buses. But to these kids, it's new. When you've seen movies being produced and seen this, it's okay, fine. It's really a thrill. It was a kick in the head to us. But some of the kids aren't ready yet to understand.
Yeah, it's too much.
I said it's like Friday the 13th, part 97.
Yeah.
You know, is what I think I used in class. But they still, a lot of them haven't comprehended yet.
And I still just can't believe that how fun it was. I know for me, because you know, like.
Well, and not only that, Joe's saying fun, but we were really proud of Joe because teachers can't pick up the porta packs and take off. Rick and I, neither one really could pick it up because that's, you know, but Joe grabbed it and took off, and we didn't see Joe nor the porta pack unless they were together taking shots someplace. Mm-hmm. Well, that's probably it too, you know, but we thought maybe it would be, you know, we ought to just stay out of the limelight, really, is what we thought. And Joe took over and did a beautiful job all day long. And I got all my papers graded too that day. I don't know how, and they all came out right too, I guess. So. If I made a mistake, it was in their favor.
I just grabbed the camera and I made up my mind, you know, that if I don't get this on camera, we're not going to have anything to, you know, keep in mind about our day in Hollywood. I went down on the floor and I just made up my mind that I was going to take this camera and I was going to shoot as much as I could. I had some people, I don't know, what do I want to say? Call me things like, whoa, what's that dumb belly doing down there? And some people asked me, well, what are you doing? Like, you know, they couldn't understand why I had that porta pack there. And I just said, well, I'm just doing this for our school. It's just a little school project, just getting shots of kind of behind the scenes and what it really looks like. And I really didn't want to get into, well, I'm getting the shots of the movie and stuff, because I don't know any legal rights or whatever all that stuff is, and I didn't want to tell her too much. So I just said, well, I'll just get a couple shots. And she said, oh, well, I was just wondering. You know, it kind of scared me. But then, as they were doing the close-up shots, I mean, I was right there beside the cameras, really zooming in, real close. I was just waiting on a cop or something. Well, what few there were there, but a cop or
State patrolman or
stage crew or whatever, just to grab him by the shoulder and throw me back. But I just had the button pushed, and I was going to tape until they wouldn't let me tape no more.
While you're talking about this too, Joe, we're really, as John has said, we're really proud of the job that you've done here, and I know that there's a little bit more work that you and Rick are going to do with the footage. And then after that, for the people who are interested in tape of this experience, they're going to be available, right?
Yes. Okay. What we'll be doing is we have tape or segments on tape, like the lady that came down here and talked to us earlier in the convocation, all the events leading up to it, the publicity and stuff. We're going to put all that together, all this right here, what you're seeing now, put it all together on VHS, and we'll be selling for $10.
That's including the tape.
Including the tape. And so you can't beat it. I mean, this for your kids, this is something you'll have on the shelf and you can pull out any time. And it's just kind of like proof that you were there and you've seen it. And this right here is really the only thing we have to really prove it, to show what kind of a great experience it really was. And we would like to mention again, we will be selling these tapes for $10, putting it all together. It's going to be a really good tape. You'll definitely get your money's worth.
Right. It's going to be, and it'll probably end up an hour and a half tape probably. And everything, along with newspaper articles and everything else, will be put right on there.
And for anybody that's watching tonight, you know, they can see that there's already an excellent product here, and it'll be even more fun by the time it's put together. And I was really pleased, too, with the response when you mentioned that. Joe brought this down to class as soon as they had gone through it a little bit so that we could take a look at it. And I was really pleased, too, because many of the kids in there immediately responded and said they wanted to have a copy of the tape because, really, you know, it is history for us.
And, you know, what we're doing now is going back, and just a couple weeks ago we had the old reel-to-reel out, and looking at things back from 1972, 73, and going, oh, my, look at this. And over all these years, of course, tapes have been so expensive. Now they're cheaper. And what's happening now is that we're saying, wait a minute. We've got something here on tape that can't be duplicated anyplace else other than the tape. So like right now, we are going to make available to the seniors or anybody the senior class play. And we're not planning on making any of the profits, the money, is going into the KISS program. It's not going into the students' pockets or the teachers' pockets. It goes into the KISS program. And $10 including the tape, you know that if you get a good tape or anyplace else, it's going to cost you, you know, we're getting the tape for $5. We're charging $5 for the taping. Because on a tape like this, it'll take an hour and a half to make each tape. So, and if you've priced any tapes out that's already taken care of and taped, you know that it's going to be a lot more than that. So, like it is available though.
Like we did say, the tapes are $10. You'll have approximately an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of taping like this right here. You can get a hold of Mr. Clear or Mr. Schmidt here at the KISS studio during the school hours. Our number here is 964-4026. Just call up, ask for Mr. Clear or Mr. Schmidt, and if you can't get a hold of them, leave a message. They'll get back with you. Just leave your name and number, and we'll get everything arranged for you. And when we start making these tapes off, you can have one for just $10.
And here's Joe's interview now, right? We're coming up right now. So we'll just go ahead and notice how the job Joe does with this interview. It's really great.
This guy was so friendly. It was unreal. I mean, he acted like he really wanted. He acted like he really wanted Union City to be there.
I'll try it. Maybe I should.
His name is David Anspall. He is the director of Hoosiers.
I tested it. It has all these.
The guy was really cool. I'm going to say cool. He was really cool.
Yeah, there's no other word other than cool. That's definitely true there. He's signing one of the T-shirts that our people, and Hagerstown, Nicetown. I said Hagerstown earlier again. I want to go to Hagerstown. Nicetown was selling these out of a truck for $5, which wasn't a bad deal.
The director of the Hoosiers movie, and right now I'd just like to, on behalf of the Union City Community High School, I'd like to thank you and your staff and all your crew members for giving us the opportunity of coming down here and being in the movie. It was a great experience, learning experience, and we really loved it. We really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, but as I said before, I want to thank you again, and people from Union City. You guys have been beyond spectacular and more than we had ever expected. And whatever success we might have with this film will be due in large part to people like yourselves. It's the kind of support we need.
Okay, it is true that all the shooting will take place in Indiana, right? Right here?
That's correct, every frame.
That Hoosier hysteria just can't be beaten, right?
It was in this gym this afternoon. You saw it. You can't buy that for $1 million anywhere else.
Okay, thanks again. We really appreciate it.
Hey, signing out. Oh no, you're getting autographs. I'm sorry. I thought you were taking it. You turn your mic back up here.
Yes.
And here we are setting up, and we're about ready to finish up. So we're coming up. We'll come up. Here's Fred getting the camera angles. They're getting some of the people. Here they put us up in the corner. And notice they're angling. It's unreal. It was neat because they're taking up the amazing. They're getting the light meter to me. And then Dennis Hopper came in where I'm sitting, clear against the wall. And this is at the end of it, and they're telling us. So that is the tape. So we can come back. Our half-hour show has gone over an hour and 10 minutes. I do apologize.
Right. Yeah, I think it was worth it.
It's been fun, and like we said, that it continues on because the kids keep remembering. And the hair is still here with us, and there's no one ashamed. There's no one. And by the way, I think maybe, Ted, you mentioned earlier about one of our people. We're not going to mention Tim. But I hope some of our kids realize that you don't have to wear your hair a certain way. You don't have to. You can wear it any way you want to. You can be your own person. You can do whatever. And I know a lot of the kids said, oh, I'm not going to at the beginning. Oh, I'm not going. They got into it, and, hey, it was all worth it. Whatever. It's the price that you have to pay for stardom, I mean, is worth it, right?
I tell you, you know, there was a few of us sitting in Soch class. Let's see, it was probably Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 5 of us guys.
Class. Right.
Myself, Rob Ressler, Scott Henshaw, Kirby DeHaven, and Vince Miller. Well,
I said something about, well, I'm getting mine cut tonight, and that started it.
And I just said right then and there, I said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I said, by gosh, I'm not going to go down there with long hair and be up in the nosebleeds. I'm going to be down there where the camera can see me. So I said, I'm going to do it. And we're all just started, you know.
And then I heard, if you do it, I will.
Yep.
If you do it, I will. And it worked out.
So I just tried to back in the back of the room, got on Mr. Schmidt's phone and called up Sue Miller, and we made appointments for about 5 of us. Went out there and got a haircut. We come back the next day. There was just a few people taking you know, double looks at, what's going on here, you know? And then we heard it first, goo, that's stupid. But then people kind of got in the groove of it, and they say, well, maybe that's not so bad. And then it was just boom, boom, boom. Everyone was coming in with, you know, crew cuts, and as you can see, mine's just, you know,
but not only the crew cuts, but cutting it off. You're having some on top. They were able to slick back, but they did it before they left. Most of them, and like I said, there's only like 16 boys in our entire school who have long hair yet.
Yeah.
But it's been fun too. I think you'd have to agree, Joe, because many of the teachers and a lot of the girls have commented that a lot of the boys are a lot better looking with their hair short.
Another thing, you know, for people out there, as Mr. Leahy has said a little while later, if you just turned in, the movie company did call and ask for Union City people, the community, to come down, not just the students. We repeat, not just the students. They called back December 7th, right? Mm-hmm. December 7th, they want us to come back. And I'll tell you right now, I'll get my hair cut again because I'm going back down there. And I hope you all feel the same way, because parents, I mean, if you have never experienced this and always wanted to,
This is a chance.
this is it. I mean, right now you can be in a movie. and you can see what it's really like, and it's unreal. And I'll get my hair cut. I'll do whatever I have to. I'll slick it back again because I've been there, and that's great.
And Joe's going to definitely be in. I mean, Joe really picked up on this thing, and he's going to be, I guarantee you that you will see Joe booing Gene Hackman.
Well, Mr.
right?
Schmidt, you didn't do bad yourself.
Well, I worked at it. We had fun with it. We all did, and it was the kids and the teachers. And by the way, not only did the kids get their hair cut, as you saw, the teachers got into it. And I can't believe, too, some of the teachers going back, because it was a hard day. I would have had to work on Saturday morning, but going back on Saturday, that was a long day. And there was a difference in asking us, will you want to come back? Oh, yeah, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, compared to 7:30. Yeah. And we got back at quarter to 10, and to get back up and be ready to go on the bus at 7 o'clock. It was really great to see some of the people who did this. It's something we're never going to forget.
And there you have it. Something we will never forget? No, we have to rephrase that maybe. Something we have never forgotten. I think that's interesting. During the thing on some of the commentary, John made the comment that this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, that it's great to have the video because this will be something we'll want to see in years to come. Well, those years to come are here now. And, that's 30 years ago. Gene Hackman, when you see him there looking like we all knew Gene Hackman in the movies, Gene Hackman is now 88 years old. I don't know how old John and Ted are. I think they're about 10 years older than me, but I'm 65 now, and I was, 32 there in that. So what fun, and to see all of our kids in there. That was an experience you just don't get to see every day. And the movie thing is fun. It's great. And I get to see it every day here in Atlanta because they shoot movies. Atlanta is now the #1 place for shooting films, even above Hollywood. And when I came home, they used the bridge right outside here that looks over the city of Atlanta. They were shooting something with cars out there. We had to all go around. They had all the lights up. Anyway, if you'd like to be a part of this every Wednesday evening, it's on Union City History Videos, and you feel free to share it with people. I don't know how to get people to really come to it because I can't do the live things with the system on my personal Facebook page. Otherwise, I would do it there. But anyway, you'll be able to purchase any of the DVDs that you would like. We're holding on that till next week because Facebook is coming up with a new way that we'll be able to do that. And also, if you'd like to have the newsletter, monthly newsletter with little things of Union City, some unique pictures, and also little tips and tricks about how you can record and save using social media some of your family's history, and also just a lot of things there. If you'd like that newsletter, because we'll also have all the videos that we currently have ready, and some of the videos that will be coming out and when they will be on the air. It'll give a little schedule of what our shows are each week. And you can join that newsletter by just emailing me at rickclearvideo, okay, rickclearvideo@gmail.com. rickclearvideo@gmail.com, and just put your name, said newsletter, and you'll be in our list just like that. So and that will come out once a month. We have one coming out this weekend. So anyway, thank you for joining us. It's been an extra long program tonight, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's a very special program. So anyway, we're going to fade out to black here, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for joining us.